You can't promise value without power. The hidden cost of lean without empowerment. Organizations love the language of excellence. We preach lean, Six Sigma, and Kaizen. We promise customers speed, quality, efficiency, and continuous improvement. We print these words on banners, strategy decks, and annual reports. But here is the coaching question we rarely pause to ask ourselves. Are we truly willing to pay the price for the value we promise? Because value is not a slogan. Value is a system. And systems rise or collapse on the strength of those empowered to execute them. Across governments, churches, corporates, NGOs, and social enterprises, a painful pattern keeps repeating. We demand better outcomes. We insist on higher quality. We push for faster delivery. We call for innovation and excellence. Yet, we refuse to empower the very people responsible for delivering that value. No tools, no budget, no access to information, no authority to decide, no trust, no supportive relationships. Then when results fall short, we blame the employee, the volunteer, the civil servant, or the implementer. This is not leadership. This is not efficiency. This is not lean. This is systemic hypocrisy. This leadership failure is not new, unfortunately. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 23, verses 1 to 7, Jesus rebukes the Pharisees, not for teaching the law, but for refusing to live it. They placed heavy burdens on others, while offering no help, no support, no example. And that scripture actually says, for they bind heavy burdens hard to bear and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move to pick any of these burdens with one of their fingers. This was not merely a spiritual rebuke, it was a leadership indictment. And today, many organizations mirror the same pattern. Loud demands, public posturing, private neglect of the system and the people. We say deliver excellence, but we do not ask what must change in the system for excellence to be possible. Let's address the uncomfortable tension. Yes, lean and Kaizen emphasize waste reduction and efficiency, but they do not teach deprivation, neglect, or abandonment. In fact, their foundational principle is this: you cannot create customer value without investing in process capability and people capability. One of the most cited real-world examples is Toyota. Toyota's production system did not succeed because employees were pressured harder. It succeeded because employees were trained deeply, given authority to stop production when quality was threatened, encouraged to identify problems without fear, supported with the right tools and information. Empowerment was not optional, it was structural. This is Kaizen in practice and in theory. The human cost of unfunded excellence. When organizations refuse to invest in empowerment, three things happen. Employees burn out. They carry responsibility without authority. Customers suffer. Promised value is delayed, diluted, or never delivered. Leadership loses credibility. Vision statements begin to sound like deception. According to widely cited global workplace studies, only about 1 in 5 employees worldwide feel truly engaged at work. The majority are either disengaged or emotionally checked out, not because they are lazy, but because the system works against them. People don't resist excellence. They resist unsupported expectations. As management thinker Peter Drucker famously noted, the best way to predict the future is to create it. But creation requires investment, not wishful thinking. You know, I once worked with a team tasked with delivering a high impact program under intense public scrutiny. The expectations were sky high. The timelines were brutal. The resources barely sufficient. Every delay was blamed on the team. Every shortfall was framed as incompetence. Yet leadership refused to release funds on time, to approve necessary tools, to share critical information, and to reduce conflicting demands. Eventually, morale collapsed, of course. Results declined further, and the same leaders who starved the system blamed the people. This is not uncommon. It is painfully familiar, yet it is avoidable. This is not an accusation, really. It's an invitation. If you truly want to be value-driven, ask different questions. Have we equipped our people with what success really requires? Are our KPIs aligned with our capacity? Do we reward problem when they are identified? That's problem identification, or do we punish it? Are we cutting waste or cutting muscle? Do our values show up in budgets, not just speeches? Because you cannot outsource responsibility and centralize control without the consequences. This is the truth leaders must speak to themselves. Many organizations want the reputation of value creation without the cost of value creation. But value is expensive before it becomes profitable. Empowerment costs before it compounds. Trust requires risk before it yields loyalty. In the end, when empowerment is withheld, employees are frustrated or unfairly fired. Customers remain dissatisfied. The organization, it slowly erodes from within. That is not lean. That is not Kaizen. And certainly that is not leadership. Not at all. My final reflection. If we promise value, we must fund that value. If we demand excellence, we must design for excellence. If we preach efficiency, we must empower execution. Anything less is not strategy. It is self-deception. And systems eventually expose what leaders choose to ignore. My name is Miriam Were. Words shape worlds. Strategy gives them wings. And as strategic content for impact, we deliver the impact. Bye-bye.